But I wanted to ask actually about your textbook, Self and World, where we get the Self and World stuff from. And I'm wondering why you felt that topic was necessary, or why that book was necessary, and why you were attracted to the self. And you see you discussing the self in many different ways over the next couple of
Yeah,
decades or something.
I thought maybe I had told the story to you, but if not, I don't mind telling it again. When I was at Yale, for odd reasons, assistant professors generally have cruddy little offices tucked away in remote buildings. And I had one of those my first year there, 67, 8. But then one of the senior professors, a guy named Norwood Russell Hanson, he was a very colorful guy. He owned a Second World War Hellcat airplane. He would fly this thing over, do barrel rolls over the football stadium, show off like crazy. But one night coming back from giving a lecture at Cornell, he drove it into the side of a mountain. So he's dead and gone. And there's a full professor's office available. And because the secretary of the department, I think, had a little bit of a thing for me, she used to flirt with me. But when this office came available, she let me have it over some other assistant professors or associate professors. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous office with parquet floors and leaded windows, and right next to the office of the chairman of the department. So we kind of became friends, and he had a job as an advisor to Harcourt Brace Jovanovich, the publishers. And in that capacity, he came into my office one day and asked me whether I would put together an anthology that would be introductory readings in philosophy. And after about 10 seconds, I said, nah, I don't like anthologies. I don't use them. And then he said, think about it for just a little. I want to make 2 points. One, when I was your age, I took on an anthology like this, and it put both of my sons through college. Not insignificant. And he said, 2, promise me you'll just think about it for 24 hours and come back and tell me, will you do it or won't you do it, and anything else you want to talk about. So I went home and I did think about it quite a bit. And I suddenly thought, and he said, he used this image, he said, to do an introductory anthology like this is a little bit like somebody hands you a microphone and says, would you like to speak to thousands of people? And so that's kind of cool. Publishing. So I went home and then I thought about it, and I came back the next day and I said, yeah, I will do it under 2 conditions. One, that I have final cut, that nobody else can say what goes in and what goes out. But 2, and this is the significant part, I am not interested in doing a supposedly objective general anthology of introductory readings in philosophy. What I want to do is construct an argument, and where I will have biases, and I will be willing to entertain those biases and talk about them. And so that's what I've done with Self and World, and the arrangement of starting with the self and just going out and out and out in concentric circles, it's not the only possible arrangement. I mean, you could do it by epistemology and philosophy of science and metaphysics, but I thought this arrangement would frankly be more appealing to the students. I mean, starting right out with that crazy essay by Tom Wolfe about Hugh Hefner. A lot of my colleagues just gave me all kinds of shit about that. But quite honestly, I think the fact that the volume begins with that very entertaining essay may be significantly responsible for the fact that the thing stayed in print for 50 years. Because, well, what I did discover was that it definitely reached a second generation and possibly a third generation, that people who took a philosophy course in college using this textbook and then went off and got a degree and started themselves teaching in philosophy, they would order that same book for their students because they knew it and liked it. And I'm pretty sure there was at least a second generation, if not a third. But that's the story of how that book came to be and how it's arranged, the way it's arranged.
But why did you, and I should say it's a really interesting book still, I think. Have been looking at it again and again. I think it's just really interesting arranged, and the choice of authors is really unusual. I mean, there's some classics in there, of course, but also, Tom Wolfe, some other writers who were kind of current in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, why you chose self as kind of the center of your anthology. Was there any special reason?
No, just I think the significance that self-knowledge has from Socrates on. Know thyself. That's his statement to his students, know thyself. And then his claim to know himself better than anyone else did because he knew how ignorant he was.